I'm going to read a report from the Times from July the 20th, and just a little warning, the details of this are quite disturbing. Um, this is by Faria Karim. It's from the Times, July the 20th. Victim nearly died in third homophobic gang assault. A man has described how he nearly died when a gang threw him to the ground and stamped on his face during the third homophobic attack he has suffered this year. Ryan Turner was left with severe bruising, a burst lip, black eyes, and a swollen face after a group of 7 men ambushed him after telling him gays should die. He was walking home at half 6 a.m. after a night out in Preston, Lancashire, when the group came and shoved him to the ground and attacked him. He was knocked unconscious. When I woke up in the hospital, the doctors told me I could have died, Mr. Turner, 22, a hotel receptionist said. Police are treating the incident as a hate crime. No one has been arrested. Mr. Turner said I was just walking home from a night out, minding my own business. There was a group of lads. One of them started throwing gay slurs to me and my friends. You can tell I am gay just by the way I am. The man was saying you should die because you're gay, so I said there's no need for that, just stay away. The next thing I know, one came up behind me and struck me. I fell to the ground, and then he stamped on my face and I was knocked unconscious. Mr. Turner does not remember what happened until he woke up in Preston Royal Hospital hours later. He was given CT scans and pain relief and was discharged after 9 hours. He is now recovering at home. A police spokeswoman said the assault happened a week ago near a McDonald's outlet. The offender left the scene with 2 men and a woman. Mr. Turner, who came out as homosexual at the age of 15, said this was the third time the same group had attacked him. On the 2 other occasions in January and March, he had been able to run away. I've been contacted by 3 people, all saying they have suffered homophobic attacks in Preston. He said, I really don't know what is causing this. It is just shocking. This brings back kind of ugly echoes of a time in I would say, the 60s and the 70s when the north of England had a very macho sort of culture and homophobia was rife. There's a few notable things about this. Number one, there appears to be no description of the guys that attacked him, even though it was the same gang. So whether this was because the victim couldn't remember the details, whether it was poor lighting, I don't know. But I feel that all the details need to be made to the public, all the known information about these thugs. I mean, the report says that the attacker, I assume that means the one that stamped on his head, left the scene with 2 men and a woman. So how is that information known? Um, if the victim had been knocked unconscious, there must be some more information that is out there. And if the police have it, they shouldn't be, holding back any information. Because let's say, for instance, they're worried about describing the ethnicity of the attackers. I mean, that's a critical thing. Some people say, oh, that's irrelevant. I disagree. If the thugs were white, if they were black, if they were brown, that information is valid because it's an elementary aspect of a description. I mean, think about it. You can't describe us as a suspect, and this is just an example, as, oh, he was 6 foot, he was wearing a green jacket, he had a mustache, but I'll just ignore, saying if he was white or black or brown. That's an elementary thing. And actually, the more information there is, the less chance of an innocent person being, falsely arrested or something. Um, this is disgusting. What this young man has had to put up with. One time is bad enough, but 3 times, and he could almost have died. Um, it infuriates me. I've got a passive gay friend. Um, he's pretty effeminate. He's not someone that can easily defend himself. I mean, no one can against a gang, but if something like this happened to him, I would be seeing red. I really would. Um, I think it is time that a new piece of legislation was introduced. We currently have legislation that names hate crime, that names grievous bodily harm and common assault as criminal offences. And that's right, there should be those offences. But I think it's time we introduce a new crime, which is attacking someone as part of a gang. We've been seeing a lot of this in recent years, not just homophobic, also racist, and and other attacks. You know, it isn't always homophobic and racist. And I know what that's like. I've never been hospitalized by a gang, but I have been attacked by a gang. It's a very, very unpleasant experience. The sort of anxiety that causes, the sort of stress, mental anguish, it's very unpleasant. I think the vermin responsible for this need to get a minimum of 12 years, every single one of them. Maybe longer for those who are actually committing the physical assault. But I really believe that if you're part of a gang and you attack an individual, you're the scum of the earth. And I think nothing but a custodial sentence is justified. It makes my blood boil when evil thugs and thugettes escape a custodial sentence, like that case in Nottingham when the young Egyptian woman was attacked by a girl gang. Now, they escaped a custodial sentence on the rationale, or lack of rationale, that her death couldn't be directly linked to the attack because she had a pre existing condition. That was a cowardly decision, in my view. The judge should have given those evil girls lengthy custodial sentences. Until we change our fundamental attitude in this country, and I don't think the problem is from the public, it's the legal establishment that continues to tiptoe around things like this. I mean, there needs to be a recognition of how serious offences like this are. Even if someone survives an attack, they could be permanently scarred, not to mention mental scars, you know, sort of anxiety, even post traumatic stress that can come about from something like this. It's evil. And I think the scumsters responsible, they need to be told through their face that they're worthless cards. They need to be thrown behind bars. Of course, make sure it's the right people. Due process, get all the information, all the evidence. You know, make sure that it's absolutely the right people, which is all the more cause actually for giving all the information that's available. If you're in the Preston area, if you know anything about this, please do the right thing. Go to the police. You can do it anonymously. You know, if surely that McDonald's would have CCTV. I hope these evil rats are found. I hope they are dragged before a court of law, and I hope they get lengthy custodial sentences. One last point: the anti-prison lobby, those idiots who say that we should just abolish prisons. I challenge them to look at a case like this, look at a case like this, and say that such people should be free to roam the streets. These individuals are dangerous, and the public has a right to be protected from them. I mean, if they're going to attack a total stranger, you know, they would attack someone who would stand up for this young man. They're dangerous and they need to be behind bars. This is why I've no respect for the Green Party, because they're anti prison. So it's horrible what this young man went through. I only hope he can rebuild his life. But more importantly, I hope the vermin responsible, well, just as importantly, I hope the vermin responsible are found, because they're still out there. They could attack him again. And that's horrible. Once is bad enough. Three times? Horrible. So please, if you're in the Preston area, if you know anything about this, do the right thing, go to the police, and let's just hope there is a sensible outcome and the evil thugs responsible get long, long custodial sentences. I might even create a petition over this. I feel that strongly about it, to push for new legislation specifically dealing with a gang attack. And if I do that, I'll put a link in this video. I need to look into it and need to look into existing legislation and so on. But I'm determined that something has to change in this country.